The CNN newsroom starts right now. Around the world, good day to you. We start with major developments we're following on the Boeing story. The United States now grounding all Boeing 737 MAX 8s and 9 planes. This after days of mounting pressure and examination of 2 deadly crashes. The U.S. President Donald Trump saying that his administration shifted course based on new evidence from Sunday's tragedy in Ethiopia, that tragic plane crash killing 157 people. He also gave this reason.
The United States has the greatest record in the world of aviation, and we want to keep it that way. So I didn't want to take any chances. We didn't have to make this decision today. We could have delayed it. We maybe didn't have to make it at all, but I felt it was important, both psychologically and in a lot of other ways.
Boeing supports the U.S. decision to ground the planes and said by the company's CEO, I should say, we are supporting this proactive step out of an abundance of caution. Safety is a core value at Boeing for as long as we have been building airplanes, and it will always be. Before Wednesday, several countries grounded the fleet following a crash in Ethiopia. That left the United States and Canada as the only 2 major countries that were still flying the aircraft. U.S. aviation officials identified similarities between the Ethiopian crash and the Lion Air incident in Indonesia last year, back in October. That's why they decided to ground the jets. The grounding is indefinite, pending examination of the so-called black box recorders from Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302. Let's talk more about this now with Alan Armstrong. Alan, a pilot and aviation attorney, joining here on set. Alan, good to have you with us. And you brought a model here to help us understand the mechanics of these planes. But before we get to that, I'd like to get your thoughts on the U.S. president announcing the FAA's decision to ground this 737 MAX 8.
I think it was appropriate given the circumstances with 2 crashes in succession like this. I think that's the right call.
Because this plane, very important to Southwest Airlines, this plane very important to American Airlines.
Right, correct.
The fact that it will be grounded will certainly be impactful to their business.
And the fact that people will die if they don't is also impactful.
Right. Well, I want to talk about the model itself here. Help us understand the mechanics, because we understand the officials, they overlaid the flight plans, and it's that upward lift that's really one of the issues, one of the important similarities that drew concern.
Okay. An aircraft flies, we know from Bernoulli's theorem, the wind goes farther at the top of the wing than on the bottom of the wing. The bottom wing is flat. But also an airplane flies because of the angle of attack. That is, the angle of attack between the oncoming wind and the wing. An aircraft can reach what's called the critical angle of attack. Okay? If it does that, it's going to depart control flight. Okay? So you have a protection system in the aircraft to prevent you from exceeding the critical angle of attack or stalling. And that is normally associated with your automatic pilot system. So the aircraft is flying on automatic pilot, and then the AOA, angle of attack indicator, says, hey, your nose is too high, you're about to stall. First, the stick starts shaking, telling you you're getting a stick shaker. After that, it will actually command the nose downward, which is what this flight crew encountered. And what they did is they made an incorrect conclusion about what was going on. The airspeed indicator on the captain's side was wrong. That led to a sense of confusion. It's not normally one thing that kills you in an airplane. It's normally 2 or 3 or 4 things. And they reached the incorrect diagnosis, and they died.
And this, again, we're talking about these similarities between the Lion Air flight, this back in October, and this most recent crash here in March with Ethiopian Airlines.
Right.
And you know, one thing that is interesting, many people are asking, Alan, what did the FAA know, right, after October and between, that time until now?
Very good question. So the first crash is October 29, 2018. On November the 6th, Boeing issues a bulletin about this problem. The very next day, on November the 7th, the FAA issues an emergency airworthiness directive. They don't issue those every day. That's not a common occurrence, okay? So they knew there was a problem. They wouldn't have issued the emergency airworthiness directive.
I see.
So this is a very significant problem, and now it's compounded by the second crash, and no one really knows what the cause of the problem is. There's one thing that we do know, Here's one thing we do know. The earlier version of the aircraft did not have an MCAS system. The MAX 8 does. Now, when you're a pilot and you move from one airplane to another, you get what's called differences training, because the aircraft that you're moving into has systems and procedures that are different from the airplane you left.
Well, this leads me to another question, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but it really does come down to the training, Alan, right? So do you get a sense that these pilots, did they get the proper training from Boeing on how to handle these planes? And here's the thing, if the technology went down, could they go back to the old stick and rudder, methods to take control of that plane again?
To answer your second question first, no, because stick and rudder skills are no longer that much a part of flying.
It's more the computers now, the technology, yeah?
The computer has taken over. It's a fact. It's not just Airbus, it's Boeing too. And why do I make a statement like that? What gives me the authority to say the computer's taken over? Well, I'll tell you why. These flight controls, they're not manual anymore. It's not a cable when you pull back on the stick that a cable sends an input to the elevator to go up. It's an hydraulic system. It's 100% hydraulic with pumps that are providing pressure to move the control surfaces up or down, okay? And your ability to feel that as a pilot is taken away. The only way you get a feel is from a computer. And the computer gives you the sense or the impression of what the control inputs feel like. Okay,
one other question just before we go briefly. The U.S. president tweeted essentially that these planes are becoming too complex, that it takes someone from MIT, to fly one of these planes. Do you agree with the president's assertion there?
The quick answer is yes.
Okay.
The quick answer is yes. Modern aircraft, especially modern jet aircraft, are extremely complex. Extremely complex. Many of the aircraft we see no longer have anything that is not augmented or supplemented or boosted in some manner electronically or hydraulically. And so if you've lost the kinesthesia, when you're learning to fly and teaching how to fly, I want you to get that feeling in the seat of your pants about whether the airplane's flying straight or not, whether the airplane's in a slip or not. That's how to land the airplane. I'm going to teach you kinesthesia. You're going to get that sense. It all goes away. Right. It's all gone. It's all gone. That does not apply anymore. The computer is telling you and the airplane what to do.
Alan Armstrong, we appreciate the insight, and thank you for bringing us this model to understand the mechanics behind
You're very welcome.
These flights. Thank you.
You're welcome.